for the University of Washington, moving on to year 2 is pretty critical. We need to keep that momentum. And so essentially a scenario where after a single year of development, being able to contribute this back fully set up so that it's easy for another university to then implement and to provide support is likely not going to be possible. We are expecting to go through 2 years of development and then be ready to fully support. That said, I think that figuring out, are there different options that we could do after year 1 if other universities are really interested? And so whether that's contributing it back as is to the Kuali Student Corps, or if there are other universities that want to partner with us and try to, help out with resourcing, but essentially, as is, our plan is to look to a full contribution, a fully supported contribution after year 2. And our contribution model is such that if it comes back to core, it'll be supported through the project. So if we absorb it into core, then the support doesn't fall to UW, it falls on the project. So obviously, at this early stage, we've got a couple of options. I think some of it will depend on progress of MyPlan, what functionality is actually available at the end of year 1, whether anybody even feels it's, something that they want to pick up at that point. I think we can assess better as we close in on year 1. But by end of year 1, there will be a learning plan, a tool for students to be able to map out their coursework and share it with somebody. Who? We're not sure yet.
We have a question here at Berkeley.
Hi. I had a question before, but not to let it pass. You said that you are using, you achieve DARS the way you, for years, have encoded it, and you just mentioned, or your group mentioned that other institutions, in this case Berkeley, could actually contribute to the development of MyPlan. But if we have a different way of encoding that may be behind you or ahead of you, how can an institution like Berkeley or other institution that has done a different type of encoding and don't need to go to a specific, can contribute, or where is the flexibility there?
So you're just talking about the audit output, correct?
No, you were saying that you were, and you said it plainly actually, you said we have to use what we have. And you, as somebody that mentioned to you that you have encoded, you have used DARS to encode requirements and degree programs in a certain way that it will be too costly for you to go back and do it and review it, re-engineering the DARS for the way you enter courses. So
sure. So I was... Yeah, that was talking about categorization. And so depending on how you've actually set up that categorization, or if your requirements are categorized, and that was the specific piece, you'd be able to take on some more of the functionality that we'd like to see with categorization. But whether or not we'd actually have code built in to show categories, we definitely wouldn't after year 1. It's something that we still need to work out about, do we have the encoder resources available to push more of those categories. But we're going to be developing kind of best practices for how to do that, and then also designs for here's what the audit report could look like. But bottom line, the configuration here is where you achieve outputs, either a text report or an HTML report. And I can't talk in great detail about this. This would be a great conversation to have with Kamal. But there may be things that are really specific to the MyPlan code, where if there's a pattern match for something that would be a course, then link that to being able to have that course pop over show up. And I think there's essentially going to be a layer of functionality that MyPlan would provide on top of an HTML output from UAchieve. But I think, honestly, those reports are so cared about and owned by advisors that each university would want to make sure that their audit output is done in a way that meets their advising and students. I mean, DARS is the engine that does the evaluation, so really all MyPlan is doing is reading the results of that evaluation. It's not doing the evaluation itself. So
however you have your audit set up, it's just basically consuming the results of that audit. So it's kind of a black box, really, how the actual requirement, yes, met, no, not met, is evaluated. That's really a local coding via DARS.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just coming back. What comes back is the requirement met, is it not met, and then presumably there may be some, as you say, additional thing. If the requirement is a course requirement, we might have built in that there's some special links off that if another institution has, it's a non-course requirement, there may be some tweaking like that, but it shouldn't be a function of how you've got your rules set up, because as long as it can come back as met, not met, that's what essentially you're getting out of a DARS report. Does that make sense?
Sure. Another question, very, very quick, please. Okay, so if you have a transfer student that has satisfied a prerequisite in a transfer institution, how do you get that information into MyPlan?
So how we handle it at the UW is that it would be entered into their academic record and would actually be processed through UAchieve. So then when we get the report, what would show up is, you needed to take English 101, or, there's some English requirement, let's say. And then as you see, which courses have you completed for that? And they might just show English 1XX, and then for the course title, it says transfer course. And that's kind of how it's indicated in our system. But essentially, those courses just need to be entered in the same way. I don't know if it's handled as an exception or what it is, but that's essentially something we get back from our academic record. And so we'd get that two ways. One, that link would be handled in their academic record as it goes to UAchieve, and then as we pull in academic history independently, those transfer courses should be highlighted. But my understanding is when they're entered in, they're linked up to a requirement or an equivalent here at the University of Washington.
So we're 5 minutes over. So I think we'll wrap up. This is where I was going with that. Thank you very much, Jill. I imagine this group would like maybe to see another demo, perhaps in several milestones. I think particularly when we get to the plan part, I think that would be a great interest. And you and I we sit, one aisle over, so if I see something really cool popped up on my plan that I think this group might like to see, I'll arrange that. But it's really great to see working code and see the progress, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Great. All right, Functional Council, see ya in a couple weeks. Bye.